plan is, kill the brain, and you kill the ghoul.
They're us, that's all. There's no more room in hell.
Dead bodies will continue to be transformed into the flesh-eating ghouls.
Zombies, they creep me out.
First goddamn week of winter.
Tried to destroy him, but I fucked up.
I gave him life.
Groovy.
Welcome to the Voices of the Dead podcast, the extension of the Undead Reviews, my channel. I'm Trace Clancy.
And I'm Katrina.
Today we're going to be looking at 1980's Terror Train. What are your thoughts on this movie?
I liked it. It was twisty.
Yeah, I feel like the first act is pretty slow, but you need to build all these characters that they're about to kill off, so I think that helps. But if you have the patience for it, I think it's good. It's an underappreciated Jamie Lee Curtis film. So what do you think for the use of all the masks and costumes in this film?
Reminds me of New Year's Evil.
Yeah, New Year's Evil does have that same type of
Changing.
style where he changes out of outfits. So the only thing I'd say for this film is that it's a little slow at the beginning and the music is a little forgettable. But outside of that, I feel like the acting is really good.
There's an actual band in it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the score music.
Yeah.
Can you remember it?
No.
No. So I feel like it falls short in the music department. It sounds still very late 70s-esque.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because it's Jamie Lee Curtis. We got the Scream Queen in it.
She was already deemed the Screen Queen at that point.
Yeah, because she's been in... No, I think The Fog happened after. I'm not sure. But she's been in two...
No, The Fog.
So she's been in Halloween. This is 1980. So
Halloween 1, Halloween 2.
Halloween
Fog.
2 is 1981.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
The Fog.
I think The Fog is 80s. I think I want to say that's 80 or 83. I am not sure.
Prom Night.
Yes, there's Prom Night. Nope, The Fog is 1980. I was wrong. For some reason, I feel like that movie's a little bit newer than it is. I always get that confused. Maybe it's just because they remade that.
Might be.
But outside of that, I still think it's a great movie. The only thing I would say for this film is you have to have a lot of patience.
Well, a guy gets killed about like 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in.
Yes.
Because they had to set it up. So they set it up with like who the killer was basically going to be. But when they played, starting from the beginning, it's a college party.
And it's a frat
party.
Yeah.
And then so all the boys, I guess were virgins, apparently were wearing these little hats. So you like knew who was a virgin. And then the boy was brought into the room where Jamie Lee Curtis's character was supposed to like be with them. And they're med students. So they had like a real corpse in the bed.
That's
but
messed up.
I think Jamie's character,
I don't
think she was in on it as much as they just said, do this. I don't think she thought there was.
Yeah, she seemed very shocked to find out that
she was pissed. And she said she was never going to go to any of his parties ever again after that. She actually tried to visit the guy in the hospital. So he freaked out and got injured.
I guess I guess they were saying throughout the film that he had some mental issues where he had tried to kill a person previously.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you try to kill a person? Like you're that's definitely going to be usually pretty meditated.
Well, he did try to kill somebody and they just got away or something.
But
I don't know. So they visited him, or she tried to visit him in the hospital. They wouldn't let her because of how dangerous he was mentally. So I'm assuming that he's always kind of been a little nutty. Like he hasn't been like 100% like he would have killed anyway kind of thing. This was just a reason to kill for him. It's kind of what it seems like. So I don't know, it's gray area, but so the kind of ends at title card, and then you go over to the train platform where I think they're like all about ready to graduate. It was like another party or something, like a New Year's party on the train, like a party train.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, apparently this kid had this money. I don't know. Or they all pitched in for it.
So one of them, the guy that came up with the terrible idea to scare the crap out of the boy at the beginning.
That's a terrible way to haze somebody, by the way. But I've heard of worse. Hazes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so apparently that it was his idea, but his friend who has all the money was the one that paid for it. So Jamie Lee Curtis's character is dating the guy with the money, and basically tried to be, she was trying to tell him like, hey, like he's just using you. Like this isn't maybe his idea, but he's just using you for the money that you have, basically, is what she was trying to say.
I do. Yeah, I remember.
She's like, you're better off. You're better than that. Because she did not like that guy.
And the movie sets you up to think, like, why is there's this magician that gets on, and the movie sets you up to think that it's him, but it's not.
Nope.
Like, not at all. And spoiler for people who haven't seen this movie yet, but, definitely. It's definitely has the Clue feel, the whodunit, but the way they start off the movie, I don't know why they did that, because who else would it be?
Yeah.
Like, why would we set it up to be a murder mystery if we already see who the killer is going to be? Like, nobody else got destroyed in that. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I guess maybe you could think it's Jamie because she felt bad for this person.
Nah,
but it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
though.
she wouldn't kill her best friend.
Yeah.
Well, and you saw what happened at the beginning. Like, there's no way it could have been her, because the goofy character that was wearing the Groucho Marx mask got killed first and then ran over by the train. And then you see her character get up on the train while the guy was pretending to be the Groucho Marx. So he basically identifies himself as the other people. So people don't realize that their friends are missing because he keeps putting on their masks.
Yeah.
He keeps he's pretending to be them.
One of the I want to say it's the conductor or the guy who ushers people onto the train. I can't remember what they're called.
It's but the conductor was the guy that was running around the whole train trying to like keep the peace.
Yeah, but eventually the bodies just start piling too high.
Well, one of them, the guy that Jamie Lee Curtis's character dates, I can't remember his name, but that guy, Mo, I think, Mo gets killed in a public place during a magic show.
Yeah, that was really creative.
Yeah,
because they were going back and forth with hiding the killer, but you didn't know because it was he was dressed up as a she.
Yep.
And they were doing magic tricks where they were all over that area, so it would have been relatively easy to get around through a crowd of people, focusing on the front end of the magic.
They were both joking around, him and Jerkface, because What's His Toes was like super jealous because he likes to play pranks apparently and magic tricks. So he was like, "Oh, I can do better," and then he ends up getting his friend killed, Mo. Yeah,
he starts freaking out. And he runs through
and
the
he's
entire
like, my
train.
friend. And then he gets himself killed because he tries to barricade himself. And then basically says, fuck you to Jamie's character.
He says, fuck you to all the characters. He said, every man for himself. And, he's kind of the character that you want to see dead. He's kind of the villain, even though like the killer is like mental and like messed up and is the bad guy. You want to see this person die. He's not a good character.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anyone.
Well, the guy that got hurt, like they don't really explain his character. They just say, "Oh yeah, he's kind of loony." So there's no explanation as to why. Like, was it the prank that made him go that direction? Was he always that way? They don't really explain it.
I think his name's.
I liked the idea of it though. The whole the train cars and stuff like that, and the running and the back and forth, and you feel the spaces being super small, so it makes it more terrifying of like the fact that you cannot hide.
You definitely feel the claustrophobia. My whole thing was for the killer, why didn't they just dump the bodies off outside of the car? The beginning too is so brutal. Like, it's an off-screen thing, but the first person that they kill, they throw underneath the train tracks, and you can tell that they're gonna get run over.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's just brutal.
Maybe he did it on purpose. Like, he wanted people to find the bodies, so maybe they could know what they've done wrong, kind of thing. Because a lot of it was very vengeful. Like, you guys pulled a terrible prank, sent me to the hospital, so now I'm going to kill you all. That's pretty much the premise. And I think maybe a part of him wanted to be caught because at the end, he does reveal his face to Jamie's character.
Yeah, but he was going to kill her. So
that was the plan. One weird thing about the ending, though, that makes no sense. So the conductor and Jamie's character are riding all over the place, doing their best to like survive. And he's trying. I feel bad for the conductor. He was trying to help her out as much as possible. And then there was a scene where she runs into the killer. He reveals himself, shows that he was pretending to be the magician's helper the whole time. And then basically it was weird. He was like, "Kiss me, Elida," to like imitate what she was saying to him.
And then he has
prank.
a PTS attack.
Yeah, and he gets like PTSD and then starts freaking out. And then the conductor comes up and smacks him in the head and then pushes him out the window. So it's like, wait.
It's very...
it was kind of like anticlimactic. Like you weren't...
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't a Jamie Lee Curtis kill or anything, which... I mean, I guess it kind of mirrors the first Halloween in that way. Like, if you want to go with Dr. Loomis saving the day in Halloween 1 and 2,
yeah,
the conductor is very much Dr. Loomis in this case.
It was just
because he's
I was
the
expecting
one who
more.
finds the first spot. I don't think this movie falls short in a lot of things in terms of music, and the climax is very short. I guess
good.
There's nothing like it's cool. Like he's just a kid getting revenge, and he gets knocked out of the cart, falls off a bridge into an ice pit of like an icy lake or something like that. Or a river.
He like gets pushed out, and then he lands in like he falls. They're like on a cliff or something like that.
It's like it falls in like a ravine or a lake, and you can't really see because it's super dark. This shot is super dark. You can just see like the hands in the jacket, but you don't really see anything. There's some
They've
white.
like squish plopped his body onto the ground. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, I think after that, it just cuts
Pretty much
to credits, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like is that they did a good job making it feel like you were on a train, even though the train was a set in a warehouse that they shook around.
It was like on a shaker, so they like moved the thing, like the cars, but they're real cars.
They're real cars? Okay.
They just rigged them up to fit the cameras in there. And then they just shook them. I don't know if it was on a machine or like they had people pushing it back and forth. But either way, they had it shaking to pretend to simulate that it was supposedly on a track.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess one of them's getting refurbished, and the train does exist, correct? And
One of them was still working all the way up until February of 2002. It was still like being used.
Is that the actual engine, or is that the cat?
I think it was one of the cabs, one of the like the like what do you call it? Like the ones where you can stay in, you sit down in.
Sleeping cabs. Yeah, those. I mean, that makes sense. Those have uses.
And another one is being refurbished in Arizona. It's getting redone. I don't know if it still is or if that's still happening.
I wonder if it's going to look like the set, what they used in the movie.
Might be. I mean, the one thing I did like and I thought was entertaining was the conversation between the conductor and the kid, the coal pusher, basically.
He was
shoveler.
talking about how trains were going to be extinct. He's like, they don't put trains next to malls. And unfortunately, I got news for you. They're putting a train station next to a mall the mall's actually doing pretty bad now.
Yeah, malls are doing terrible.
But I think trains are going to blow up, and I think electric cars, as much as I don't love electric cars, are going to blow up here really soon in the next couple, probably 5 years.
Well, that's what I found entertaining was that conversation, because now being in 2021 now.
Yeah, Happy New Year. That's why we picked this one. Because it's a New Year party with costumes, I guess. Anything for the killer to get a mask.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Much. But I just thought it was funny to see that in our time.
We're getting ready. We got an entire strip mall that got pulled out for our train.
It's just the conversation itself is like, wow, this didn't age well.
Yeah,
because
it's very...
malls were big in the 80s and the 90s, and then they just kind of declined pretty quickly, especially nowadays, especially with like the whole virus and stuff.
So how it goes is like the malls were brand new towards the end of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say mid-end 60s. Mm-hmm. And then they started like blowing up like metropolises in the 70s and 80s. And then the 90s, they were still really relevant. They were still around. We got to the 2000s, and did the internet kick off. Now we have Amazon. We can have things delivered to us, especially in a
Costco.
pandemic. Like
Yeah.
I don't go to the grocery store very often unless it's for snacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how long the malls are going to last. I mean, I'm sure after the pandemic, we're going to see a big change in how things are done from now on. But I want to say malls are going to go extinct within the next 10 to 15 years.
Or become something else or in some way.
Yeah.
Because, no, they aren't going anywhere. In fact, trains are a lot more popular. They're not coal trains I mean, there are coal trains.
I mean, those are
but those ones are more luxury right now.
you can still get on a coal train, a steam engine, and they're not obviously because coal's a fossil fuel. You can go on them for like little day trips to see what it was like to ride on an old train. There's one that me and my uncle went on when I was a kid.
They still do. I think they do like murder trains too, like where you do like a murder mystery.
You rent them out, yeah.
And then
there's one that took me to a winery when I was a kid.
Yeah, so they still have some like luxury ones, and of course it's still used to transfer stuff, like
Yeah, they're just not efficient in terms. They're not good for the environment, and all the new trains you got. Japan's like whole system is trains and buses, if I'm correct.
pretty much.
And you could they just hop on. It's a bullet train. You're there.
So that's what America's trying to do. At least our state is trying its best to do more of the bullet train route.
So what it's going to be, that train that's going to be built, it's going to go from all of Washington, supposedly, to Oregon and California. But I'm sure that there's going to be something along the lines that is going to be much better here very soon.
You'd hope. I mean, I just feel bad for the small businesses that are getting destroyed at the same time.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's it's mostly, I feel like Washington has an impact highly on small businesses just because the rent is so high here.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a little off topic, but that is scary.
It's unfortunate.
What I like is that it wasn't fake snow. It was real snow.
Yeah.
You said that those were real shots of the train moving around, and that was all real cold.
So the shots of them outside, it was actually that cold. And then it got so cold one day or one night that the cameras actually got frozen over.
Huh.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I mean, it's just glass. It's the same way that your car glass gets frozen over, just like that.
That's awesome.
It's just glass and yeah. So it was cold, and so those shots of them outside, they were actually like probably freezing their asses off because that was real. It would suck. I feel bad for like when people have shots like that in real weather, but it makes it for some real acting.
Meanwhile, you have the burning where they're trying to smear Vaseline on the cameras and get terrible.
I mean, at
shots,
least this one they got.
Sense.
Yeah. It kind of sucks with cameras though, because that's really dangerous when it freezes over like that. I don't know what kind of lenses they were using then, but I do know now, like if that happens, you'd have to worry about the condensation and the possibility of it breaking your lens and getting inside of it and then ruining it. It would just, God, I can't imagine.
So, do you know where the movie shot?
No.
Do you want to know?
Yes.
I'm sure everyone wants to know. If you don't already know, it's Montreal, Quebec, Canada, in and around.
Oh, that's why it was so cold.
Yeah. And they shot during November 21st.
Oh, yeah, November.
1979.
Yeah.
Hence I'm pretty sure that's why the music is so. So I always forget that some movies are shot like a year or so or a couple months before they're released or however long. Like we're going to see Halloween Kills here, and it's going to be almost like 2 years after it was filmed, right? Because they started right after 2018 was released.
Yep.
But Canada's always cold, which is like the greatest part of Canada.
I want to live in Canada, not because of.
It's cheaper to film out there too.
I know, and I know. Recently, everybody's always saying, "I want to move to Canada." I get it, but like ever since I was in high school, I wanted to live in Canada, maybe because it's cold up there. It's trees, nonstop trees. It's cheaper to film, which was one of the reasons why I was so intrigued.
Yeah, I've been to Canada. I've been to a ton of campgrounds out there. The water,
It's gorgeous.
it's nice.
I've been dying to live out there since I was in high school, just because of how stunning it is. The only thing that's tricky is getting the visa or finding out like
Getting
how to live up
citizenship.
there.
Yes.
And I don't know if I want to give up my citizenship for that. It's one of those where you got to really think about how you want to do it.
I mean, I probably could, just because I think the medical system and the tax system in America is shoddy.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. But I know some people are all fighting for how to keep it the way it is.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I wanted to live there simply for those reasons. And then as I got older and found out about like the medical there and all that, I'm like, whoa, maybe I really do want to live there. Like it seems nice. And I know everywhere you go, it will have its own set of problems for sure. But in terms of environment, it's definitely a place I would like to live for sure. I like the cold. I love the cold.
For me, when I went to Canada, I think the only thing I didn't like was the city. I think that was Vancouver.
Vancouver?
I wasn't a fan of Vancouver. I actually like the mountain areas more. I went camping up there. The cabins up there are really nice. Like everyone in the woods has like a cabin-esque style house.
That's what I want.
It's nice. Like there's people on the lakes all the time, like all year round. And I'm like, you're crazy. I went during the winter and it was insane.
Yeah.
I went during summer and it was like it is right now in Washington. It was cold. It wasn't like super hot. I think the highest it got was like 60, which is like my kind of summer.
I love cold. I love the cold. I just like the feeling of getting warm, like getting toasty.
Yeah,
I'd sleeping hot.
I'd rather freeze to death than burn alive.
Well, when you freeze to death, you basically just go to sleep. You fall asleep, and then boom, you're dead. I mean, frostbite would suck, but I mean, if you survive it, but you will lose your limbs before you die of anything else. But I mean, in terms of like dying in hot weather would cause you to be dehydrated, and that is an even slower death.
Ugh.
And that to me, like to die in like a desert versus dying in the middle of like the mountains, I would rather die in the mountains.
We should do a would you rather or something for one of our podcasts.
Would you rather?
Yeah.
Would you rather die here or there?
Yeah.
Get killed by Michael or Jason?
Yeah, I think Dead Meat does that too, actually. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I checked on their podcast. I like to save up and then binge them. So I'm terrible at that.
I did the same thing with a lot of people, though.
So you do it for your Murder Mystery Monday?
Yes.
Yes, I do that for Lazy Masquerade and Corpse Husband. I don't know if Corpse is going to do any more stories, though. It's been a while, but hey, to each their own. Sometimes you got to move on and branch out. But absolutely
Masquerade
love.
still does stuff, though.
Oh yeah, all the time. He does cold cases and stuff.
I love cold cases. I love horror stories, like true crime horror stories.
But just wanted to say, hey, I miss you. I miss your voice. I still watch the Among Us playthroughs.
It's really weird seeing him not do something horror related.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But he does music now. He's branching out, which is cool. Sometimes you need to branch out, and I feel like the creepypasta era is coming to a close. We had urban legends before we had creepypastas, and we had creepypastas, and now it's just not as big anymore. Masquerade's
doing pretty good though, but he's doing based off of other people's stories.
Yeah,
too.
He does allegedly true stories.
Yeah,
and cold cases now.
And people like send him stuff too that happened to them, or like people give him stories.
He moved to Japan, so he's getting other regional stories now.
Those are awesome.
I sent you one. I don't know if you went through it, but so he's been doing more of the Eastern murder cases now.
That's cool though. Something different. Something that we've all heard about Ted Bundy and freaking.
We always hear about Gacy and
yeah,
Dahmer.
We all know that story. So it's kind of nice to see something, probably like hear new stuff, like new stories.
So yeah. It's definitely a change of pace, because we hear about all kinds of stuff from America all the time.
Well, that's kind of why I like Beatley Sarian stuff. I like listening to her stuff because she always finds like killers that I never would like even have known existed. I mean, like you kind of know, but like she really finds stories that you don't hear all the time. She did do Dahmer, I think. And
yeah,
she
I
also
listened to that one. That was I got more of an exposition of Dahmer than I wanted to. I was like, damn, this boy's crazy.
She hunted up a lot of information, but she does do a lot of stuff like, why are vans creepy? Well, there used to be killers that would drive around in vans, and they were specifically known for that, and they would kill people, throw them on the highway.
I've had people try to pick me up in vans before. It is exactly. It's creepy. And America is actually, we have like one of the worst, I want to say, what do you call it? Trafficking rings in like all of like the world. We just kind of don't know about it because it's so swept under the rug, and
nobody really talks about it.
We pretend like, it's not our problem.
I almost got dragged into one of those. I was at a gas station filling up my gas tank, and as I was pulling in, there was this girl, very frail looking girl, standing next to some dude with a hoodie, and he was all scraggly and fucking creepy looking. And then like the girl comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, I need a ride," as I'm filling up my gas tank. I'm like, "Sorry, but no, like I cannot." And then she started like she's like, "Please just give me a ride. I just need a ride. It's down the road, blah, blah," And I'm like, "No, I cannot. I will not. I'm so sorry, but I can't. I'm not giving you a ride anywhere, period. I'm going to fill up my gas tank and go home." It was after I dropped you off at work. And then when she like stomped away because she was upset because I wouldn't take her, and she went and stood next to that guy again. And then I drove the fuck off. I cut it off early too. I like stopped filling up my tank. I'm like, okay, that's good enough. I just drove home after that. It's scary. And I'm pretty sure if I gave her a ride, she would have taken me somewhere.
Yeah, that's usually the case. You usually are never heard from again.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should probably rope this back in. I feel like Terror Train, no offense, guys, there's not a lot to talk about, but I chose this movie because it was a New Year's movie that I haven't seen. For me, it's probably not going to make it onto one of my Coffee and Spooks for a long time. But if I had to give this a rating, it'd be probably 3.
3 out of 5?
Yeah,
it was good.
It's good. It's not
had a twist.
Memorable, though. It's not like Halloween. It's not like The Fog.
Do you think if you stayed in the Groucho Marx mask the whole time, it would have been better? Or do you?
It would have been obvious, though. It would have been very obvious that wasn't him.
That's true.
Yeah.
He did. He like threw the conductor off too, and he swapped into the reptile outfit that one guy was wearing, because the conductor thought that the reptile guy had died, and then he came in. I don't know what he did with the body, and then he put on the outfit and just pretend like he was passed out drunk in the bathroom.
Yeah,
he like played it off, and so
yeah, and for a while that worked out to him for his plan. But when the body started, he got sloppy. Yeah, I think he got sloppy.
He killed the girl, and then the conductor found her. Then Jamie's character, Elena, came in, and then he's like, "Do you know this shoe?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's my friend Mitch." And then he's like, "Okay, well, she's dead." So,
yeah, he was just like, "Come with me.
Yeah,
take you around the corner."
He was a lot nicer about it. Yeah, he was nicer about it, but like basically, like she's dead. Like,
yeah.
Let's not start a panic. But
yeah, Jamie's like, "What? No, impossible." And then she sees the body, and she's like, "Oh, never mind."
I'm surprised the body was. I was expecting the body to be gone when they came back.
Yeah, I was like, dude, everyone's gonna be like, the conductor's crazy. I'm like, no.
That's how I thought it was gonna play out, because like the conductor kept getting proven wrong every time. So it was like, is he gonna be like? Are they just gonna pretend like he's the killer, or like he's just crazy and nothing's actually happening?
Probably. That's what I was thinking. But then they didn't do that. And they just went with, it's the magician.
I don't understand how they pinned it on the magician. Is it just because he wasn't technically supposed to be on the train? Like they didn't hire him?
Yeah, and I think that has to do with the fact that I want to say he got the gig because his assistant knew about it. It's very elaborate when you think about it. He had to go through all of this just to get these guys at a party.
Yep.
Which is it's kind of a plot hole if you think about it. What would you rate this movie? What do you think of it?
At 3.
It's one that I'd watch in a blue moon, but it's not something I'd actively seek every year.
Well, it was good, and Jamie's character was great as always, and like the story, the idea was clever. You felt the like shit, like this would suck if it happened to me, because of how like condensed the what do you call it, the train felt. Like you felt like, oh man, there's like nowhere to go. They're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, what can we do? So you just kind of see them all running around frantically trying to figure out what the hell to do. And I think at the beginning when he found the the first body, he was like, okay, we need to find a way to either go back to the first place or go to the other place.
Yeah, they ended up going forward because it would have been easier, because to go
faster,
backwards,
to go backward, it's slower.
Yeah.
And although it was closer to that stop, it would have been faster just go forward and speed it up a bit.
Yeah. All right. So I think that about wraps things up. I guess since it's the new year, we will close out with resolutions and what to look forward to on the channel. And we can also plug your stream, since I feel like you do a lot of streaming, and I feel like people need to see that and your art. So you want to go ahead and do that?
Let's see. My resolution, at least for myself, is to try to draw a little bit more this year than I did the last few years, and kind of just focus on the channel and my streaming channel.
I want to make more videos. I want to do more streaming. I want to be more active on the social media for the Undead Reviews channel. And I want to give some of the art a try. Like, I want to do some pictures and maybe get into making masks. And personal one for me is to not buy cars like 50 times this year. I have a bad habit with buying classic cars.
A little bit.
But for me, I say this movie's a 3. It was good. I wouldn't actively watch it all the time. But, you know, if you're looking for some vintage horror, it's definitely up the ladder. So check it out. Stay cool, ghouls.
Stay cool. Happy New Year.